Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel, wishing you a happy start to this very early Wednesday morning here. It's actually like bright and sunny in Finland at pretty much all hours of the day. So I've been up for quite some time now and decided to record a video, of which I wanted to follow up on yesterday's 3-hour setup. That one has hit, and essentially there's another one kind of forming in front of our faces as of right now. Now it is going to be a bit of a more nuanced video, as there will be a bifurcation between the lower term timeframes and the medium term timeframes, but ultimately, hopefully, it'll all coalesce for a nice holistic picture. Hopefully. Anyways, other than that, I want to once again give the spotlight to the buyback promotion going on, as it got 0% on maker fees for derivative contract orders. Plus, you can even get the Joule free for the first 30 days if you follow the directions in the link in the description below. And then because Bybit is going KYC relatively soon, I believe it's on the 8th, so you got 5 more days. I know a lot of people have been looking for an alternative. They do have a decentralized exchange arm called Apex, which there's another affiliate link in the description below that'll award you actually 5% off of your lifetime fees for that exchange. All right, sweet. Let's just jump right into it. Starting off first with the follow-up of yesterday's setup. We were looking at the 3-hour time frame over here, and basically it was a very simple one where we look for the Joule light, in this case, to go below 35 or 36 and then turn white on the first tick, plus PMARP being below, I believe it was 50 in this case. Did initiate a setup for an average gain of about it was like 3.5 or 3% or something like that. Anyways, thus far we've actually pretty much seen that move. From setup given to the current high of that rally was about 330. So I'd say that is, more or less done in this case. But ultimately, that is likely going to bleed into another setup on the 4-hour time frame, which we'll get into soon enough. So let's actually scoot on over here, and it's actually not the 4-hour time frame. I was wrong. It's the 6-hour time frame. So 2x the 3-hour time frame means double the fun, I guess. Fucking dumb. But in this case, very similar setup. We're looking for the Joule light to go below 35, turn white on the first tick, and then also PMARP must be below. I believe I set this one up for 60. Let me just double check over here. 65 in this case. And then if we go ahead and back test this particular setup over the past 69 trades, great number right there, which I believe leads us into the last year's worth of price action. 75 and about 75% of those did have a nice short-term upside move. Now you can see over here, whoa, what the fuck is going on with this camera? Is this some paranormal activity shit? Is this place haunted? Are we haunted right now? I'm feeling haunted. I'm feeling like this analysis is fucking haunted. You can see, you can actually see the last one was a loser. So they're not always going to be winners. Obviously, we're talking about probabilities, not certainties in this case. But ultimately, yes, this one actually did fire off on the last closure right there. Now, typically with these setups, you do typically see a retest around the prior low before they take off. In this case, 28,000 or a little bit below 28,000 bucks. I still think is actually probably more likely in the short term than not. So kind of referencing that bifurcation between the medium and lower term timeframes. I do think that while this does have a pretty decent probability to play out, obviously 75% is good, I would say. A lot of the times these do retest those lows first and then play out. Anyways, now, this did take on average 36 bars, which is quite some time. I mean, 36 times 6 is above my mental capacity to do. So I'm just going to do the calculator over here. We'll do 36 times 6. That's 216 divided by 24. How many days is that on average? 9 days. 9 days to play out on average. So that does kind of give us a wide berth on this one. Anyways, performance summary does suggest that the average winning trade was about 5.5%. So, what would that essentially look like, within the next, I guess, 8 to 9 days? From setup given right here, plus, 5.5%. That would put Bitcoin actually above 30,000 bucks again, a little bit above 30,000 bucks. More importantly, it would put Bitcoin back above this pivot right here. The rejection that we did see, I believe it was from Friday to Sunday of this past week. And that, for at least for myself, would be very important, because back above that region is where I start to look at Bitcoin as getting ready to put in the next big move to the upside. Probably talking somewhere around 33 to 34,000 bucks. So yes, that would obviously be significant. But again, in the short term, would I expect Bitcoin to maybe do something like this, where it kind of comes back down and retests somewhere around that low, maybe even goes for this lower block right here? Definitely possible. But where would invalidation be on this particular one? It's very simple. Below $27,000 on a closing basis, that is where this gets invalidated, and that's where we can start to look much further south, in my opinion. Anyways, yes, so we've gone through that. I also do want to speak about why I think that it's more likely to come down in the short term. 4-hour time frame HPDR indicator right here, we can see has been rejected right at the average, right here, like literally right on the average. And when I see something like that alongside contracting volatility, which you can see on the on the BBWP indicator right here, usually that's gonna imply another retest of the bottom side of the range, and guess where that is? Basically right around about just below $28,000, basically around yesterday's lows essentially. So that's why I do think short term maybe something like this and then try for the bounce would probably be more likely. But of course, a very, very short term is kind of difficult in my opinion right here. I don't really have a super strong opinion on it. Like this would not be this would not be like a trade setup for myself, so to speak. Anyways, also just want to go over the daily ranges yet again. It's the same thing as before, obviously, but this is where I'm getting the $30,000. Damn it, stupid trading view. This is where I'm getting a $30,000 pivot to the upside. Technically speaking, on the daily, the average is right around about 29,650. So on a closing basis above that region, yes, probably an early indication that Bitcoin's gonna, rocket itself up into the shallow $30,000 territory. Again, maybe somewhere between like 32 to 34. And by contrast to the downside, I still look at Bitcoin as actually reaccumulating right here. First and foremost, as long as it's above the blue range lows, which is $27,000 or so, below $27,000 on a closing basis. That's at the point where, at minimum, I shouldn't say at minimum, but probably at minimum, we're going to see a move down to like $25,000, maybe a little bit lower than that, before the next bounce attempt. And personally speaking, I do think that bounce attempt would be more likely to fail. But I want to come back to it after that. At that point, maybe we start to talk about areas of interest down to like $20,000 to $21,000. Hey, what are you doing in here? Get out! Get out! Out! No girls allowed.
I'm taking to have dishes. God.
Do I have dishes? I do not have dishes in the workroom. Like what? Can't live with them and can't live without them. Anyways, yes, okay, so where are your dishes? I'm recording a video. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Anyways, yeah, so that is the significance of those of those two regions. Sweet. Okay, so moving on now. Yes, going into the daily stochastic oscillator over here, I do want to highlight that the daily stochastic oscillator will actually be pointed to the downside, assuming that Bitcoin closed today below 28,900, right now trading about $400 below that pivot. So, again, short term, that's why I would be looking for more sideways rather than anything else. Obviously, if the 6-hour setup over here plays out, sooner rather than later, then that's just not going to hold to fruition. So that's why I don't feel too married to the low term timeframes in this case. But if I did have to call it right now, yeah, I do think that is more likely to maybe retest around those lows and then try another move to the upside. Yes, so longer term, I did want to also highlight that Dixie, the dollar index over here, is actually putting in yet another drive of hidden bearish divergence, coming off of this last rejective high at about 102 or a little bit above 102. So I would be looking for this one to come back down, over the next few days, somewhere back down around about a little bit below 101 or so. Now, ultimately, it's kind of hard to be looking for like a mega breakdown of this level just yet, that being like the 1019 region to 101 region. 100.9 to 101 region basically. But obviously that, in the short term, that would probably help in the relative short term, that would probably help Bitcoin's Boolah case right there. So ultimately, the big focus again for myself would be the 6-hour setup over here. The real question is it retest around that low or not? If it does, that's fine. That would probably actually look more, likely within the realm of the, the statistics here. And then over like the next week, we do see that bounce kind of emerge. Basically the more that damn it, just drawing lines right now. Basically, the more that Bitcoin just goes sideways within this region above, especially like, $27,000, I'd be looking at that as a good thing for the Boolahs. But if Bitcoin does break below 27, that's where things start to really change around for me. And I start to look at this as likely to go much, much lower, probably towards 25, 24 and a half, probably try for a bounce there, and then maybe even cop up the whole damn rally to like 21 or so. But for right now, sideways is good, and does set up for a move higher, probably into next week, maybe later this week, get started. But I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video yet again. Yeah. that's a good place for me to be leaving off. As always, want to be wishing you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.